Being unemployed for the past 2 years is the best thing that could have ever happened to me because it made me ask myself three fundamental questions. Grand Rising, y'all. You're literally coming into my morning routine. As you can see here, I literally have my notes as I'm working on a book, got my morning coffee, which we're almost done with. So we need a second cup here. But we are fresh out the box. And I first want to just note the practice of be, do, have. I woke up this morning and I was not feeling it. Yesterday, I worked a 6 hour standing shift of cleaning a whole gym. And you're probably like, why are you doing that? That's a whole nother story. Nonetheless, I'm in the practice of practicing the paradigm of be, do, have. And so one of those practices is waking up each day and dressing the role that I am and becoming and would like to experience on a day to day basis. So, what that looks like to me is dressing up as a creative director or an entrepreneur, or obviously a mixture of both and whatever that looks like. So, today I put on this outfit, and like the moment I put on this outfit and started like doing the thing, like just being it, regardless if I felt like it, now here I am. I'm reading the book. I'm showing up as the creator that I am. And I'm just laughing at myself because it works. It's working. And I'm just excited to be an example and have lived experience to say, okay, all these self help books, all these personal development books are not a whole bunch of BS. There's a level of truth in it if you're willing to explore, be curious, and put it into practice. I speak for myself and I digress. So when I tell people that I haven't been working for 2 years, 2 years as of June 2024, yeah, people are definitely like, how, why, when, how are you still surviving? What's going on? Are you okay? Well, girl, you should have asked me that in the very beginning because, yeah, I was freaking out just like anybody else would. But let me bring you back to that moment. Okay, it's 2024 in downtown San Diego, California. I'm working for a church, and I remember before accepting the job, I remember saying, if it doesn't work here, then I'm going to go out on my own. But I was so certain that it was going to work out at a church. Why wouldn't it work out at a church? If it could work anywhere, it's going to work out there, right? Wrong. Nonetheless, I was there. I'm coming up on my second year there. And I just remember feeling that what I was giving was not fair or equal to what I was receiving. It didn't feel like a fair, synergistic energy exchange, whether it was in the form of resources, whether it was in the form of mentorship, whether it was in the form of access to tools and space, like whatever the case it was, I felt in my spirit the imbalanced exchange. And it pinged on me. And I said, this is so far imbalanced for me. And it could be even that smidge of an imbalance. It felt like more to me, but, and I don't need to explain that to anybody, but it was enough to be like, I don't know what's next, but I know it ain't this. And, and I remember that my last day was on International Workers' Day of 2024. Um, And so then the journey begins. This path of the journey begins. And I only had enough money to cover up to the end of my lease, which was September. So I think June was already paid for. July, thankfully, they were willing to give me severance, I believe it was. And it was just enough to cover rent. And then August, September. And then all I needed was enough for August. And then after August, I crashed at my friend's place that was about an hour north of San Diego. And this is where the real work began. I mean, first and foremost, I had to put my ego aside and ask for help. That is a big freaking deal for someone who was not in the practice of asking for help. And given that I was an only child, or I was raised as an only child, so to some extent, I felt like I had to rely on myself and find my own resources and, yeah, just take care of myself, you know? And so asking for help, especially from my friend, I was like, and it's still quite a new friendship. Like it was established enough that, I was able to ask. And it felt like a good fit for us. They lived by themselves. They had a couple doggos, and yeah, they were at work at their 9 to 5, and who's present with the dogs, right? And giving them access to be outside and such without causing a ruckus, because they cause a ruckus every time a car passed by. Nonetheless, this is when the real work began, and really just getting to a place environmentally, because I was in downtown San Diego. There's so much noise and ruckus around, fire trucks and police cars, and the area I was in was not the best area. It was downtown San Diego nonetheless, but downtown be downtown. And so to be able to be in a place where I can allow my soul to settle and feel safe and at peace, because we were away from the city. We were 15-minute walk from the beach. Like the loudest thing that was in that area was a train passing by. Yeah, it was definitely quiet and peaceful. And that might sound like all all like fine and dandy, but when it's all peaceful and quiet and you have nothing else that is distracting you, things that are going out on the street, things that are going outside, right outside your window, you start to feel your soul trying to recalibrate itself, because it's often like just ingesting so much noise and energy and vibrations, and um, just reading the whole environment that you're in and making sure that you're safe. And it's often in a fight or flight response, because at any downtown, like, you're like, who are these people, what's going on, what is that sound like? Yeah. And I just remember my nervous system recalibrating itself to its natural state. And that could be uncomfortable, because when you're so used to driving in a certain gear and then to downshift a couple notches, that's uncomfortable, especially if you don't know how to shift. If you ever learned how to drive a manual vehicle, which unfortunately it's a lost skill, it's one that I want to learn, but I was able to do it because I had to get my motorcycle's license to get my Vespa in San Diego. So I know what it means. But there is this moment of transition where it has to happen at the perfect time, when you're flipping between the gear and the point where it allows you to transition. And if you do it at the wrong time, you hear it in the movies. You hear when people are shifting gears, like it's like like, and it's just like a really tough sound to listen to. But that's what it will feel like for most people, including myself, when I was allowing my nervous system to downshift I felt like a couple shifts because it was so radically the environment was so radically different from what I was coming from that it was so uncomfortable. It sounds like that when you hear someone trying to learn how to drive in manual for the first time. And as my nervous system was adjusting itself and adapting, eventually the silence starts to sit in. And when you're so used to all the noise, that can also be uncomfortable. And that's when the questions started happening. That's when, I mean, I'm already a curious kid, but this is when a different set of questions started happening. And I had to sit in the discomfort of trying not to look for another job, of trying not to get on Indeed or LinkedIn or Google, just Google in general. I'm like, how do people find jobs nowadays? And trying to fill that void and attaching myself to my worth to the job or career that I had. And all I could do was sit in the silence. And so every morning, my friend would go off to their 9 to 5, and I began the process of having a slow morning where I would start building the habits of waking up without an alarm, of stretching my body, of making my coffee. And my friend had a manual coffee maker, so we were like definitely making our cup of coffee. Reading, but like specifically like reading my daily devotionals, reading the Bible, writing, journaling, meditating, listening to my body when it was hungry, not when we're told to eat, listening to my body when it was time for movement, listening to the dogs when they said it's time to go use the restroom, which was different. It's different because that was the first time that I was taking care of another being other than myself, two other beings. Getting out in nature, aka the ocean. And yeah, just all of these practices that I do today. And it didn't happen overnight. And it's still a constant practice today. But I had to ask myself these 3 questions while I was there. Who am I without a job or a career? Who am I when I'm not being employed by someone else and working for their vision and for their goals? Who am I when my life is not filled doing the work that someone else would like me to do? Who am I when I'm not receiving a paycheck? And so then I had to ask myself, who am I? Well, I'm Kay Short. I'm curious. I think I'm funny. I love to pursue growth. I can be sarcastic sometimes. I like to play. I like to be silly. I like to journal, and I like to read, and I like to write. I like to have slow mornings. I love spontaneous connections on a day-to-day basis. I love being in a coffee shop. I'm okay. I'm okay with not knowing what's inside the ocean. I like exploring things for myself as opposed to taking other people's truth at face value. I like to take it and be like, oh, that's true for you. Let me go explore it for myself. I like denim. I like tigers. I like wolves. I love wolves. I My two favorite colors put together are blue and orange. And, the list goes on. Who am I? And then I had to ask myself the second question. What are my natural talents, skills, and abilities that I love sharing with others? My curiosity, my ability to connect with anyone, the way that I hold a conversation, the energy that I bring to a room, the different point of views that I bring to the conversation and to the table, the way that I communicate, overall, my presence. It's something that's taken me so much time to cultivate. And I feel like, for better or for worse, in some moments than not, my presence is felt. If K Short is in a mood, it's felt. If K Short is happy as hell, it's felt. And everything in between. And that I believe everybody has. I believe that everybody has presence, but it needs to be cultivated. Unfortunately, we've been so numbed out that we forgot who we are and how to show up moment to moment. And then lastly, are these talents, skills, and abilities enough? Are they valuable? Am I enough? Am I valuable? Am I valuable? And damn, I had to ask myself that. And given all the reflection I have, in an isolated world, in a lonely world, absolutely it is valuable. And more importantly, it's needed. So, those are the three questions I had to ask myself during this time of pausing and reflecting, going even deeper into a winter season, is what I would call it, where I got quiet. I don't know about you if you've ever experienced winter, because a girl is from the Southwest and I just experienced my first Montreal winter. And if you see all around you, you allow nature to be nature and allow the life cycles to happen, it gets really, really quiet. And everything starts falling to the ground in fall, right? And it goes underneath the ground. And just as we are organisms and plants and just living beings, it's important for us to also go underground, for us to do that groundwork, to look at the seeds that have been planted in our lives and asking ourselves if they're weeds. Is there weeded relationships? Are there weeded beliefs? Are there weeded limitations that we've put on ourselves? Are there weeded cultural conversations that are not true for us? Are there identities that we don't align with anymore? My goodness, it is quite the groundwork. And if I didn't not if I was not employed, and still not at this point, I wouldn't have actually been able to pull out more weeds, really, and start planting new seeds of new beliefs, of new identities, of new perspectives, of new paradigms. And now they're in the process of growing, right? Like, I'm out in these streets now because they're sprouting. I'm in a spring season now, and it's like breaking ground. And me being here on YouTube is the evidence of that. And so, those are the three main questions, regardless of being employed or not employed, like, worth asking yourself if you feel like you are on your way to like a winter season and realizing you're experiencing such deep satisfaction in the current season that you're in. And so, again, asking yourself, who am I without this job or career? Maybe let's flip it. Who am I without this relationship? Who am I without these kids or these pets? Who am I without these friendships? Who am I without this workplace or this neighborhood? Who am I without this family? Who am I? That's the ultimate question. Who am I? And I'll tell you this from my explorations during this time. Who am I? And this is just us going deeper. And you don't have to go here, but I just want you to know that who am I is not a question that you ask once. It's not a question that you ask twice. It's not a question that you ask three times. It's a question that you ask daily. And it's even a question that you ask moment to moment. Now, I would say that's like level 2 in this process, but I'm just letting you know right now that's what you get to look forward to. And that's where I'm currently at, where I'm asking myself, who am I from moment to moment? And my practice right now is to ask that question as often as possible in each day and then act in accordance to who I am, even if that means dressing up in a way that I believe myself to be and who I want to be and who I am and who I am. Number 2, what are your natural talents, skills, and abilities that you love sharing with others? Look, I get it. We are moving out of a society where having specialized skills are what was needed for the last society that we just built with the industrial industry, agriculture, and such. The ways that things were growing, we're now at a point where, like, as we see that we're going into a fall, we're in transition, and if you know cycles, winter's on its way. So the questions are going to come regardless. I'm going to tell you this: there are seasons at a macro level and there are seasons in a micro level. So I'm grateful for the way that it's happened, that I asked those questions in my winter. So when winter comes, I know what to offer. I know what to bring to the table. Nonetheless, what are your natural talents, skills, and abilities that you love sharing with others? Like, that is just a part of your beingness. And maybe you have to go back and ask yourself, when you were a kid, what were the things I naturally gravitated towards? What were the things that excited me? What were the things that energized me? What were the things that I've had to quiet down because it wasn't going to get me a job or career? Or it wasn't going to get me into college, X, Y, and Z. And then again, the third, are they enough? Are they valuable? Do I believe that I'm enough? Do I believe that I'm valuable? That's what you're ultimately asking. And I want you to know that you are enough, and that you are inherently valuable regardless of what you bring to the table. You just being at the table is already valuable. I want you to hear that. You are already enough, more than enough, and you are valuable without putting anything on the table. You just being there and being here is already valuable. Let that sink in for a bit as I'm allowing it to sink in for myself. Because even right now when I'm talking to you, I can feel that I'm in a different gear. I'm in a different gear than, if I would have recorded this in the afternoon. If I would have recorded it, I don't know, any other time. But regardless of how it's being communicated, and it's not being communicated in a charismatic, enthusiastic way, whatever, which I know I can do, which you all know I can do. But showing up as I am right now is already more than enough. And I want you to know that you viewing this and watching this for the time period that you've been watching it means so much to me. Like, I don't care that my numbers are 5 people, 10 people, 15 people. I know that if there was 15 people in this tiny little room right now, that's more than enough. I know for me, that whether and this is not coming from a cheesy place. "Oh, if I only help one person in my life, then I'm gonna be A-okay." Like, sure, but, like, you are capable of so much more than that, you know? And I'm not saying you gotta help millions, but, like, I know for myself, I know that my presence is more than enough, and I know this is the same for you. So much so that's the reason why my friend allowed me to live with them rent free, because me just being there, not by being present in the household, but because I had presence in the household even on my grumpier days, like, there was growth for both of us that happened by being so in it, so unabashedly, like, ourselves in it, and given the space to do that, to be able to build a relationship that needed to be built, to for us to have the foundation in our friendship that we do have. Like, I know that whether it be with one person or with a few people or with a classroom or with a YouTube audience, like, me just showing up, I already know the belief is it's already a gift. And the thing is, I know that to be true for you too. But the thing that I'm going to name is asking ourselves, what does it feel like to be around you? Are you constantly distracted? Are you unfocused? Do you actively listen? Are you curious? Are you interested instead of being interesting? Do you talk more about yourself than you allow the other person to talk? Do you Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? And in this very distracted world, it's difficult to do that. And so that's why I know, because I've taken the time to cultivate my presence, to cultivate and practice focus and attention, and paying attention to details and paying attention to what you're saying. It's, if anything, right now, I'm paying so much attention to what my friends are saying that I know that it can be quite annoying for them, um, because it's challenging them. It's challenging myself, but it's challenging them in a way to watch their words, to watch what they're creating with their words, because our words are a wand to our reality, and realizing that our personalities create our personal reality. That's level two. We're still in the practice of it, but the awareness is the first part. I digress. So I'm not saying to quit your job, to start asking these questions. Please don't quit your job to start asking these questions. You don't need to. You just have to have a level of proactivity, of intentionality, and the practice of paying attention. I say this because we saw what happened in the pandemic. We thought this is what I think some people were hopeful for. When the pandemic happened, yeah, the world paused and it seemed like everything got quiet. But really, what showed up was that we only doubled down on our patterns, our cycles, our habits, and our beliefs. And it doubled down because of our devices. We were on them constantly. And it only contributed to the noise. There's already voices in our head before devices, okay? So, like, how many people you follow, the algorithm and such, it only doubled down instead of doubling up. And so what I wish would have happened, or what I would have liked to happen, during that time is that when the season came for a pause, we actually paused and asked these bigger questions from ourselves. So, whether you have a job or whether you don't, or whether you're thinking about quitting it, which I would not necessarily suggest unless you have the support system that you have to be able for you to do that. The best thing that you can do, that if that is something that you're like, "Ah, I do need to take a pause, like I feel like I'm going into a winter season. I feel like I need to get in a cave somewhere." Make sure that you do it with two things. One, make sure that you have a plan. It's difficult to kind of plan your the process of it because it's going to be different for everyone. The way that it showed up for me might be slightly different from the way it showed up for you. But like go in with a plan with the tools that you're going to bring into the cave or the tools that you're going to cultivate while you're in the cave, while you're in the winter season. Like have something to anchor you in, because if you don't have an anchor going into this pause and restful season, you're going to be shaken. You're going to be shook. And that really is when the voices, your own personal voices, start to get really loud, especially if you're willing to untangle yourself from the relationship with your devices. So one, have a plan, and at least have the tools and intentions that you're going to bring into the cave. And two, have someone there to support you. Have someone there to ask you those questions that maybe you have forgotten along the way, asking you, who are you? Who are you? Who are you really? Have someone to support you, even if it is financially. Have someone to support you, to mirror back to you your reflections. Have someone there to coach you through the process. Have someone there to just walk alongside you. Because this is a process that, without the help of others and someone who's been through it before, can be extremely overwhelming. So I don't know about you, but I didn't necessarily have someone as interested and proactive in my process as I would have liked. I did have my best friend there, but they were at work from 9 to 5, and that's okay. That's okay. And all the support you can get, the environment, the people just being around you, is still support at the end of the day. But I know what I wish I had during that time was someone who's gone through it before me and was just willing to walk with me. And so if you feel like you don't have anyone to walk with you during this season, then I'd like to offer and invite you to consider me to walk alongside you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the exact way I can support you. It's not going to be like just coaching. It's not just going to be mirroring back to you. It's like it's a very much a holistic approach. Like I'm not going to sit here and say like these are my credentials and this is what I like. No, I've been through it. It's my lived experience. And because of all of the experiences I've had, again, recognizing that it's all accumulated to be able to just be present with someone else during their process. And that's the gift. And so, yeah, you might get a little bit of coaching, and yeah, you might get a little bit of a hard ass answer. And yeah, you might, and you definitely will get, the sympathy and empathy in the hard stuff. And you might get, you know, honestly, a challenging truth. Like, I'm definitely at a point where I'm going to be like, what I hear you saying is some bullshit. Like, I'm going to tell you that straight to your face. So if you want someone who is willing to hold up a mirror to you and share with you observations as to what I'm hearing and what I'm reflecting back to you, as I also support you in terms of, hey, these are the tools that worked for me. This is what I've cultivated. This is what I do on a daily now. Those those habits I cultivated during that time are still holding me today during now a new transition into spring, which has been the greatest gift. Like, this is just here to help you get started in this process. And at the end of the day, I don't know how long your season will be. It truly is dependent upon your proactivity. It's dependent upon your initiative. It's dependent upon your openness. Like, if you're not open to receiving and you're closed off, then you're gonna be resisting the whole process, and recognizing what you resist persists. So I want you to know, like, there is no deadline to your process. There is no, oh, by the end of summer or by the end of winter, like on a macro level, like that's when it's gonna end. No, like, your season is your season, your process is your process. And let's be honest, if this is the first time you're asking these questions and you're yay years old, then that means we have to go that much further back to get to the root of these paradigms and these bullshit beliefs and identities. And so I suggest, you're already here, the days are already going by. There's no better time than starting today. And there's no better time than starting right now. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out my links below, particularly in my Stan store, and see if you would like some one-on-one support on your journey. If you just want someone to walk alongside you and who's going to be honest, transparent, and a little too real. But I don't know about you. I know that that's what I wish I would have had. I did not want the airy flary of like therapy. I didn't want the airy fairy of like a friend like consoling me in the process. Like, I wanted someone to be fucking real with me, and someone who has gone through it, not based off of a certification, not based off of an accolade, not based off a degree, someone who's actually lived it. So if that's something that you're interested in and you want to check out, again, go ahead and check out my links below. But nonetheless, regardless of where you're at in your process in all of life, I hope that you still ask these questions. Who are you without your job, your career, your relationship, your kids, your family, your pets, your friends, your community? Who are you? What are your natural talents, skills, and abilities that you love and have often loved sharing with others? And lastly, do you believe that they are enough? Do you believe that you are enough? Do you believe that they are valuable? Do you believe that you are valuable? You already know my answer. So I look forward to hearing yours. So if you'd like to answer those questions in the comments below, I'd love to hear them. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me in my morning routine. And yeah, I wish you well on your journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay rascal. Bye now.